if you look at what exactly we are, the current state of things, right? The world is on a rapid transformation. Are we all on the same page? Yes. If you look at the kind of data, what you have seen now, you cannot see it in the next day. If you look at the organizations, right? Even an average enterprise holds some 348 TB of data. The data is in the laptops, the data in their cloud, data in their emails. So much of data. And what happens with the pandemic? Almost 75% of the workforce still thinking about doing remote work, which could be a full-time or a part-time basis. So this also added with the remote applications, whereby 75% of, almost 70% of your workloads already moved to cloud. So if you look at so much of data and then getting access from outside, and then it is already outside now. Now what it gives and expose, almost 86% of business admit they are being compromised. So this is the stage we are in, right? We are all need to be there to support our customers in moving from this current stage to the next stage. But what is the actual scenario? If you look at almost every organization need to manage minimum 76 the tools, the number of tools which they need to see from the security point alone. Be it an antivirus, malware, virus, right? And then you took out the firewalls. So much of tools. But the actual problem, there is no much workforce to manage those the resources. Almost 3.5 million of security jobs are open. Even if you go to any customer place, they'll be asking you, can you provide resources? Even ourselves, we are struggling to provide resources for the security requirement. Security does not need to be this much complex. It can be as simple as such. How it can be when you embrace zero trust. There can be a single policy which can be managed for all your endpoints to the cloud, to your servers, your data centers. And then make the data uniform and the fast and everywhere, even from your BYOD. Bring your own devices, because that's a norm which every organization is opting for. So what ForcePoint is doing here, right, to address this current state? We are with a theme called Security Simplified. So we are almost 20 years in the business. We were known as WebSense, right? And then we renamed ourselves after acquiring a lot of products to ForcePoint, with 300 plus patents which we are holding it in the security industry. And if you look at most of the large names which we support, like IBM, Accenture, or Cognizant, those are large customers which we support. 150 countries we operate, almost 11,000 plus customers we manage. So what we do to support our customers from a legacy security stack. So we acquired some of the products like CyberInk, which will talk about remote browser isolation. And we acquired the Deep Secure, which is a content disarm and reconstruction product. And we acquired BitGlass, which is a CASB Gartner leader. So with this, we are also accelerating our zero trust strategy. So let me give you some more pointers. What ForcePoint is doing in India, like we are increasing our footprint with the new offices and innovation center in Mumbai. And we also globally created new functions of customer success, plus adding teams in cloud operations, because more focus is towards cloud, and also help the partners with the marketing funds. And when we say accelerating with the big bet, which are the key themes which you should look at when you go and take it to your customers? Digital transformation. Every customer of yours will be talking about digital transformation. Are we in that game to support your customers to do the digital transformation? And when they do a cloud adoption, most of the customers are not very sure which way to go. Am I in the right path? When I adopt that, am I being fully secured? This is another area. And most importantly, people are talking about data privacy and the data protection. When India is coming up with the data privacy bill, am I ready to support it, or am I going to pay hefty fines? And the other important area, comparatively, which is the email security, both in SaaS and the CDR-driven model. I will just cover up on all these points. So when I see a digital transformation, people talking about SaaS-A, right, which is nothing but Secure Access Service Edge. And it looks like most of the technical jargons, but what it all about? When you have your offices, when people used to come to the offices and access the data center, they were on the private network. And then people moved to remote locations with the MPLS network, which were still in private network. And then what happened? Adoption of the broadband, people wanted to go for SD-WANs. When you create an SD-WAN, you need the same kind of data center security features in your branches as well. So people adopted SD-WAN, which has routers, firewall, IPS, and the security stacks fully adaptable. And then what happened? The pandemic came. Even in the branch offices, people do not want to come to offices. They were carrying their laptops. So the idea was the laptop should have the intelligent security features to protect them, and then tell them that which application to access, whether to go in your private data center or go to your cloud applications. That's where your secure web access, which is nothing but a proxy, the CASB and the ZTNA of your secure service edge concept of term coined by Gartner. So it should also take care of the data security. It should give you the threat protection. It should be on the zero trust. So when we talk about the secure access service edge, it consists of two components. One is your secure SD-WAN, another is SSE. So what Forcepoint is doing on this SASE market, we are the only vendor or a single vendor data first SASE. So the purpose of, we spoken about the large volume of data and the people outside and data outside and the cloud applications, plus the kind of attacks happening is basically to take the data out, being a malware which comes in over a period of time to your organization. The purpose of the malware is basically to take the data out. So our focus is towards giving you a full protection from a single vendor perspective, focusing on data on your organization. So this is how we look at the remote users or the officers or the BIOD, which comes from an SD-WAN or from the FluxX SD-WAN concept of ours, which will access towards your cloud, web, or private apps or email solution. So Forcepoint 1 with the FluxEdge is what the solution we talk about. So the business value is about zero trust with the security and with the lower complexity and cost. What are the changes? You bring your architecture from a normal to a zero trust architecture, and you will have a smart edge and data security everywhere. And zero trust is the guiding principle for all Forcepoint offerings. When we say zero trust, it will start with zero trust access. It will also have the zero trust usage. We will talk about the zero trust data, and we will also talk about the zero trust content. So the FluxX Secure SD-WAN talks about either an internet or an MPLS or your lease line or your LTEs can be connected to our appliances with the integrated cloud services model, whereby all your headquarters branches or a private cloud can be connected seamlessly. So when we talk about cloud security, we talk about Forcepoint 1, right? So first we talked about the SD-WAN concept, which is for your branches. And the second area is about your edge points, which should get connected to your cloud application or private applications. So this is a Gartner rated single vendor SASE approach model, which will be on a zero trust model, which will do an enterprise class DLP with a secure SD-WAN underlying principles, with a multi-mode cloud security, either inline or API, and with the CSPM and SSPM also to cover your cloud applications. And these are the key pointers. One is that zero trust enforcement and access web, content, and data. And this is on AWS on a polyscale architecture. Most of the SASE vendors offers on their own data center, which is prone to get downtimes on their updates and other things. But we are on AWS on a polyscale architecture across the globe. 300 POPs already we have presence. And we talk about cloud application coverage with the unsanctioned applications and the private applications, which are unlimited. And if your partners are already using Forcepoint web security, we can offer a migration path. And the contextual ZTNA, when we are talking about contextual ZTNA, most of the ZTNA, which is nothing but zero trust network access, the replacement are VPN. The other OEMs offer about threat, without the threat and the data controls, because they straight away connect to your private data center. Here we focus about the data controls as well. And with the 99.99 SLA uptime, which has been on paper so far. And about the key features, if you look at 800K plus applications which we manage on a multi-mode CASB, we also offer the RBI plus the CDR on a zero trust web content, plus the enterprise class DLP. And if you look at the agent plus Ajax VM to manage any of your application which is on the cloud applications is already connected. A native IDP and SMFA, which no other vendor is offering at this moment, with the 4 MB agent, which will really help all your customers to just get connected with the 4 MB agent. And these are some of the high levels when, say, example, a managed device or unmanaged device connected to a web or unsanctioned apps, how am I going to support? When he is connecting via managed apps like G Suite or Office apps, or in a private applications like Jira or Exchange, in these internal applications. In all these access, I will be giving you the risk scores as well as what are the practice action to be taken, allow, deny or approve types. So this is about the remote browser isolation on a very high level. If you look at most of the applications when you are trying to access it, based on the risk score, organization may allow or block it, especially with the internet applications. So with the RBI, I open a remote container and help you in accessing in a remote container, gives you only the streaming, pixel streaming, so that your end users not get affected because of the active scripts. This is especially useful for your CXO or the senior level organizations people. And similarly, when I talk about content security and the CDR, this is saying, example, you get unsafe digital documents. Most of the attacks happens through this steganographic type of attacks, whereby with the zero trust CDR, I extract the original content, which is business value to you, only the fonts and the logos and the images, create a new document, verify that information is safe, and build as a new document, give it to you. This is the CDR, which most of the defense and the zero trust environment opt for this. And with the first point, I also give the analytics insights, which helps what is the ROI people are making it now, right? How much investment they made it, what is the return on investment, which no other vendor is now looking at it. And quickly, I'm getting into the data security part. There are 4 aspects which are talking about: discover, classify, monitor, and protect. Discover nothing but offers you a first point data visibility, and first point the classification talks about the classify, and monitor and the protect talks about the DLP and the risk adaptive protection. So in the data security, we have a lot of accolades already on this. Gartner rated as leader 9 years consecutively. We also have the Forrester Wave and dedicated market quadrant. Let me quickly get into what we do in the data security and data governance. These are the areas. And when we say about next-gen data protection, it is all about either from the endpoints to the email to the network or to the cloud or any detection APIs. We will be able to give you a complete offering of your data protection. And when you are taking first point 1, it will be a single console. So most of your customers might be already using first point DLP. When you adapt cloud, first point will be able to use the same console to give you the DLP, which we launched as DLP everywhere with the first point 1 SSE platform. And when I talk about classification, this industry is only AI/ML powered classification. Most of the classification talks about you may need to put the manual classification. Here, suggestion comes from based on the industry standards. And when we see the data visibility, most of the organizations have so much of data available everywhere, but not very sure whether the data is really redundant to them or not. So we actually look at the redundant, outdated, or whether trivial data, and then let you know how many places the same data is visible now, available. The same data could be in your laptop, the same data could be in your mail as an attachment, the same data will be in your cloud as a backup, which is you already done 1 year back. So this is an expose to the attackers. So we will look at the redundant kind of data. If the organization is not using the data for last 10 years, we will also bring you the visibility whether data is really relevant, whether it is outdated data, we are still keeping it, which is a 10-year-old balance sheet. Similarly, trivial. Some organizations, events, that photographs still might be available in one of the costly storage, which we may not aware, whether that trivial storage is required or not. So we will give you the complete visibility, and based on the risk score of that particular data, we will have to let you know what is the complexity or the complaints which you are following it up. So that kind of visibility we will be able to give it. When I say risk adaptive protection, we just talk about when an organization, when they allow the users to have the data transmitted on official channel, if the user is becoming malicious, with the risk score, I will be able to automatically block it. So far, data protection was like zeros or 1, like your CCTV camera, right? But now I put a person who monitors on a real-time basis. The moment he becomes malicious, automatically block all his data controls. And when we're talking about the email security, so we talk about the zero trust CDR on the emails, because most of the attacks happens on your emails with an attachment with the stenographic images. So we help you with the Forcepoint CDR, which will again reopen the content, create a new document which is business specific and give it to you back, which is a cloud-based offering, plus the cloud email security of Forcepoint, which will be a SaaS-based cloud email security with enterprise class DLP. Why this is most important? Most of the organizations is looking for the O365 security plus the DLP, or if they are on a G Suite, they do not have a complete data protection. So all this access comes from Forcepoint with the cloud email security. And this is about the new approach. Just to give you a quick wrap-up of what exactly we have spoken so far. First area is about Forcepoint Secure SD-WAN, which is a simplified zero-touch deployment model with a flexible SD-WAN, NGFW, IPS all-in-one, and with the fast high-speed inspection even on a cloud or virtual environment, whichever you choose. And the second important area, Forcepoint Enterprise Class DLP, which will talk about DLP everywhere, which will help the organizations to adapt to their environment without compromising on the data controls. And with the Forcepoint one, we'll be able to offer a unified all-in-one approach, whether your application is in your cloud or in the private data center, and the users are accessing their internet without any controls, you'll be able to protect them with the secure web gateway, with the CASB, with the ZTNA, and all with the threat protection and the data protection with enterprise class DLP features. And this is how we help your customers to transform their business, increase their productivity, let people work anywhere, anytime, faster and safer. That is one important area. Reduce the risk. Use zero trust to protect the sensitive data in web, private or cloud applications. Reduce cost. Replace your old infrastructure with the truly unified cloud services and streamline the compliances. Without compromising on compliances, you have the consistent visibility and control everywhere. And that's it.